The National Election Security Task Force identified some 6,178 flashpoint potential trouble spots across the country ahead of the 2020 general elections. As stakes rise and pressure increases for free and fair polls, there have been calls to diffuse tension by raising awareness among the electorate to trust the system. The Electoral Commission is deeply concerned about the levels of violence perpetrated in recent times. Whereas the violence experienced in the early 90s and 2000s were birthed out of genuine causes and disagreement, the Electoral Commissioner, Jean Mensah, says what is witnessed today is well-orchestrated strategy to unleash violence before, during and after the elections.
Based on past experiences, it is now clear that we cannot take any election for granted. Gone are the days when we could take lightly the security arrangements for non-competitive elections, such as the upcoming district assembly election.
The abuse of social media during elections was flagged as a recipe for violence.
We are confident that the cyber security wing of the Ghana Police Service will be up to task and will deal with this phenomenon on a timely manner. We trust that in the quest or in their efforts to do this, those behind the fake news would be brought to book and dealt with.
The head of the National Election Security Task Force and Inspector General of Police, George Ekufu-Dampare, met stakeholders activating the task force in the run-up to the district-level elections and the 2024 general elections.
We who sit here, collectively as professionals and as citizens and patriotic one like that, will do whatever it takes to let the country to continue to be at peace with itself, and we will not compromise on this.
Other heads of security institutions were emphatic on the need to safeguard Ghana's peace, which forms the basis for a decent political climate. The task force is expected to firm arrangements and strategies in the run-up to the district level and general elections. George Quinning, TV3 News, Accra.
Still on election-related subjects, it's barely a year to the 2024 general elections, and in the view of a Democracy and Development Fellow at the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, security and integrity of the ballot are two major issues that must be addressed. He contends that resolving these issues would guarantee the country's enviable record of conducting free and fair elections.
Next year's general elections will be the 9th after Ghana started yet another democratic experiment with the 1992 constitutional dispensation. Ghana's polls are largely reputed to be free, fair and peaceful. However, with barely a year to go, Dr. Osai-Kwapong of CDD Ghana is of the view that security and electoral integrity are important concerns.
The role of the Electoral Commission, its relationship with the various political parties, the processes it puts in place to ensure that the elections are, free and fair, how we, validate voters, what procedures we take them through to ensure that it is all eligible Ghanaians who have the fundamental right to vote are the ones participating in the election. So one, electoral integrity would be key. I also believe that issues of security would be also a major theme that we'll have to pay attention to in 2024. Generally, our elections have been peaceful, but we've also seen isolated incidents of violence here and there.
He contends that the creeping issue of monetary inducements in Ghana's politics and the seeming breakdown of IPAC at the Electoral Commission must be dealt with.
We've been raising concerns about the role of money in our politics. So that would be one thing that we will be watching for and paying attention to see the extent to which money and other forms of inducements would also play a role. I still think that the burden is on the EC to reconstitute the IPAC. If they have to use some intermediaries to bridge that difference between themselves and particularly the NDC, one of Ghana's main political parties, I would encourage that they do it.
Next year's general elections will be conducted in 276 constituencies across the country because of the creation of the new Guan constituency in the Oti region.
In more news tonight, the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, says he will appeal the sentence imposed on Aisha Wan by an Accra High Court. He believes the court should have applied the new legal regime, which allows courts to impose a minimum of 15 years jail term on persons who engaged in mining contrary to the law.
The High Court slapped Aisha Wan with a 4-year, 6-month jail term and a fine of 48,000 cedis after it found her guilty of committing various mining offences. Trial Judge Justice Lydia Mafu explained the new legal regime, which imposes stiffer punishment, was passed in 2018 and 2019, while the crimes committed by the Chinese national took place between 2015 and 2017. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah expressed satisfaction with the decision.
If you arrest someone and you charge him for committing an offense some time ago, if you are able to prosecute him successfully and he's to be sentenced, the sentence then should be the sentence that you can use. You cannot use the new regime. And so far the sentence then was to the fact that the maximum of 5 years, we think that's the right position of the law. We can also not amend our constitution at this stage, but that's the law even worldwide. At the time you commit the offense, the punishment there is what you are supposed to be given when you are convicted for that offense. We are aware of it. That's why we came to court, and we knew that the maximum that we could get would be 5 years.
Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame has, however, in a statement, served notice his office will be seeking a review of the sentence imposed. He indicates that his office wants the new sentencing regime applied by the courts. The new legal regime allows the court to impose a minimum fine of 120,000 cedis and a maximum of 180,000 cedis on a person who undertakes a mining operation without a license. It also allows a minimum jail term of 15 years and a maximum of 25 years to be imposed. The Attorney General has meanwhile urged the public to desist from comments on the case which affects the administration of justice.
In more news tonight, President Akufo-Addo has been slammed for his refusal to assent to the Criminal Amendments Bill seeking to prohibit the practice by any person as a witch doctor or witch finder, as well as proscribe the labeling of persons in that regard. On Monday, the president, in a memorandum to Parliament, stated his inability to sign the bill into law, citing constitutional breaches. Sponsors of the bill and Medina Member of Parliament Francis Xavier Sosu says the conduct of the president is retrogressive.
Parliament reading out the president's communication on his inability to assent to the bill. The president, in a letter dated 28th November, explained that he was unable to assent to these bills because of concerns regarding Article 106 of the 1992 Constitution, particularly by their nature. He noted that the concerns raised were significant and had profound implications for the constitutional integrity of these legislative actions. This has gotten the sponsor furious.
The president says constitutional issues, and I ask the question, which constitutional issues? Bills do not get passed within a second in this house. So for me, it baffles me that the president is citing constitutional issues. So all this while, where has the president been? Or these constitutional issues have not been with us. I believe that what the president is doing is a deliberate effort to frustrate the laws that have been passed by this parliament. And it is very, very untenable. It's unacceptable. I don't believe that it's a good practice that will aid our democracy. Maybe because I am an opposition member of parliament, every act that is passed by this house is supposed to be implemented by the executive. And it will definitely have some financial implication anyway. So it is a wrong application and a wrong interpretation of Article 108 that I believe that on this note the president got wrong.
Meanwhile, the Interior Minister in Parliament has justified the force used by the police in the German South constituency disturbances that claimed 1 life and some casualties.
Let me assist my colleague here. They started firing. The police commanded the police officials to fire only into the air. Only into the air. Yes, warning shots. So the impact of the warning shots was what dispersed the group ultimately, but it left a number of people injured. 10 police officers, including an officer who went to Fountain Care Hospital to be treated, 11 civilians who went to Sampa District Hospital. The person who was shot
Away from Parliament, sustainable peace building, economic independence and civilian protection will be the focus as Ghana hosts the UN peacekeeping ministerial meeting. The high-level gathering aims to secure crucial political support and concrete commitments to enhance UN peacekeeping efforts to address current and future challenges and needs.
The UN security meeting has become timely as global peace and security is seemingly threatened with the current spate of wars and political uprisings among countries. According to the West Africa Network for Peace Building, the first 2 quarters of 2023 recorded 3,631 human security-related incidents, leading to 5,625 deaths and 4,711 injuries. The flagship event, co-hosted by the United Nations, marks the 5th such meeting at the ministerial level and the first to be held on the African continent.
But today's meeting is also an opportunity to think about the challenges. How are we doing in terms of addressing the challenges that peacekeeping is facing? What about the stock-taking of all the initiatives that were taken with your support, initiatives which are all mandated by member states now under A4P and A4P+. But how can we go further than that? How can we think of new ideas and new avenues to address these challenges that are constantly evolving?
Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayokoboche indicates the meeting provides a platform for comprehensive peace building.
The challenges we face demand sustained commitment and collaboration. I urge each participant to translate the insights gained and the commitments made during our time together here into tangible actions that will contribute to peaceful and a global peace and security.
Ministers and delegates from more than 85 countries are expected to be in attendance. As Ghana exits the UN Security Council by close of year, this meeting has become very important to wrap up as a member whose performance has been described as sterling. The Accra International Conference Center will be the center of attraction from December 5 and December 6th as the world gathers to discuss peace that is sustainable. Grace Hamwa Ajuman, TV3 News, Accra International Conference Center.
Let's do on some other stories now to Parliament again. And the Ghana Union of Traders Association and allied groups have called for a total ban on the implementation of the restriction on goods and services that seek to limit its importation. These bodies are strenuously opposed to the LI, which has still not been laid in Parliament. Briefing the media after meeting the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, GUTA President Dr. Joseph Obeng says the proposed law is unjustifiable.
It's very important that any country becomes self-sufficient. But the way to go had been the problem. And especially when we have also been there in the issuance of permits that did not result in any gains for the nation. And that's why we wanted to remind them that that's surely not the way to go, and that we can adopt different methodologies to enhance on local production. You know, the cement is thriving. Other industries are thriving, not necessarily that they brought permits. But you also know that there are some products that, as I'm speaking, there's permit issuance, but it's not thriving. So the way to go is not restricting us. We have even made it clear that we will be better off that they ban the product rather than to bring restrictions and impediments on our way of trading in this era of trade liberalization. But if we do not have the produce, or our produce is even overpriced, that it cannot be sold to the rest of our neighboring countries, then we have a problem. That's what we have to look at to solve the main problem at hand, rather than putting the restriction ahead.
In more news tonight, the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, says the La General Hospital will be completed by October next year, exactly 10 months' time. This will be the Minister's latest assurance to the people of La, as work is expected to be progressing at the project sites. Sarah Penko reports.
Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta last week visited the La General Hospital project land site and assured residents as well as the general populace that 15% of the total tranche would be released to the contractor in charge of the project. The Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, in our latest interview with him, has again assured that the project would be completed by October 2024 before the next general election and handed over to residents.
Contractor is back on site. We can go and have a look at the place. I will go there next week. We expect to complete before elections next year. We're looking at between June and October. If nothing happens, by October, November next year, that may be completed.
We are here at the project site once again to find out the level of progress of work being done here. This is the current state of the project, with security men constantly monitoring the entrance to prevent public entry. We've been to the site, but we are unable to ascertain if work has stalled or it's being done at certain time of the day. Unfortunately, residents claim they have been warned to stop engaging with pressmen when they come around the project site. But we will definitely follow through to the latter on this particular development. Sarah Apenkro, La General Hospital site, Accra.
In more news tonight, 10 persons, including a woman, have been arrested at the premises of the Futu Municipal Assembly in Winneba for rioting. The action follows demonstrations in the town on Tuesday against reported licensing of a private company to mine in the Muni Pomadze forest.
Police personnel deployed at the offices of the assembly barricaded one side of the road leading to the assembly building. Soon after the peaceful march, another group of demonstrators emerged with one member holding a bottle of schnapps, insisting on pouring libation, a move which was initially rejected by the police. A third group also appeared and began to throw stones towards the assembly building and the police officers, resulting in a fierce confrontation. The police managed to arrest 10 persons who were later taken to the Winneba Police Divisional Headquarters for investigation and prosecution. The 3-hour demonstration began from the St. Paul Junction through the entire old Winneba Township against those behind what they described as raw deals against the chiefs and people of the area. They said they were protecting their tradition, cultural heritage, and tourism potential of Winneba. Abuachiri hunting grounds, the globally protected and recognized Winneba Pomadze Ramsar site, and any part of the Muni Lagoon which had been targeted for mining. The demonstration terminated midway through the low-cost area instead of the intended Ifutu Municipal Assembly, as the leaders picked up an information that some people were planning to foment trouble at the office of the assembly.
We, the people of Winneba, by this demonstration and its attendant petition, are registering our disgust and protest against the granting of lease, permits, or any form of concession to the Green Metal Resources Limited or to any other company for the purposes of mining in or anywhere near the Winneba Abuachiri grounds or any part of the globally protected and recognized Winneba Pomadze Ramsar site and any part of Muni Lagoon which are shared between the people of Efutu and Gomoa traditional areas.
The demonstrators warned all those involved in the reported mining deal to take advice and desist from executing any mining operation in the forest.
We therefore add our voice to our two traditional authorities that any person or group of persons or company that would fail to stay away from their butchery hunting grounds would face perpetual and unending consequences.
One of the organizers of the demonstration, Dr. James Kofi Annan, condemned what happened at the premises of the Municipal Assembly and urged the youth to always maintain focus to ensure that the battle to save their culture, heritage and tradition is won without pain. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Efutu, Alexander Apenyo-Marking, has denied reports that a concession has been given for mining in the sacred forest in Efutu. The Minerals Commission has also denied issuing licenses for mining in the area.
A lot of chatter has gone out as a result of these lithium mining contracts now, whereas the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, insists it is the best deal for Ghana. Some stakeholders and civil society bodies and key voices in the country have commented against it. One of them is former Chief Justice Madam Sophia Akufo, who says that the lithium deal between the government and Barari DV Ghana Limited is not in the best interest of Ghanaians, contrary to the position held by the Minerals Commission. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Alfred Okanse, Madam Sophia Akufo questioned why government has concluded that the deal is good when Parliament is yet to scrutinize the deal on behalf of Ghanaians.
People, undue benefits must be floating around somewhere. That's why somebody will find this a perfect, wonderful, what did they say? It's the best. Yeah, they said it's favorable to Ghana and surpasses those of other lithium leases around the world. Well, maybe leases, but there are all kinds of lithium extraction formats which are much better. Lease is not necessarily the best methodology. There are so many other methodologies. There's joint venture, there's service contract, of even the service contracts of many different permutations. If you like, I can later on send you write-ups on what other lithium countries are doing. Yes.
Well, so you disagree with the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources and the President making the point that this deal is the best deal for Ghana?
No, it's not the best. You know, it's like percentages. What's the base figure? You know, if you're from some super miserable formulation to this, then you will say that's the best Ghana has had. Yeah, maybe it is, but it's not the best Ghana could have had.
All right, so look forward to that interview at 10 p.m. with Alfred Okanse on Ghana Tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. In other news, two pre-tertiary teacher unions have expressed disappointment over the Education Minister's insistence on the reopening of schools for first-year senior high school students. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers tell TV3 they intend to engage the sector minister over a compensation package for teachers before academic work begins.
Last week, the unions in education issued a statement requesting the Education Minister, Dr. Yawose Aduchum, to extend the reopening date for the first-year senior high school students. The sector minister was summoned before Parliament for the same reason. Appearing before the House, he indicated that sufficient engagements had been made before the date was announced.
A lot of teaching and non-teaching staff have been employed to lessen the workloads in our schools. As a matter of fact, the majority of teachers are only at post when a particular track is in session. So, Mr. Speaker, it cannot be true that all teachers have never had any rest.
But the teacher unions say they are disappointed at the outcome of issue and expect an allowance package from government.
The teachers have been working since January to December.
Now there's no mean a task. And now they are going back again and all that. So we'll meet and go back and engage the ministry and take it out from there. Let the minister know, and not the minister alone, and all the stakeholders know what is at stake.
We are stakeholders. We always engage Ghana Education Service, but we know that for now, they are seriously looking at issues of placement. And that is what is being handled now. And when you go to the center, you realize that a lot of them are there. And I can assure you it will take close to at the end of this week or even next week before they will be able to resolve those issues.
And now do with that space, please.
Yes. So why the rush?
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have many more stories for you right after this, including this big one, which is that some health experts are alarmed at the increasing recreational use of nitrous oxide, citing concerns about potential health risks. We'll dig into the details right after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Health experts are alarmed about the increasing recreational use of nitrous oxide, citing concerns about potential health risks. The Ghana Medical Association and the Ghana Anesthetists Society are calling for increased efforts to curb the illegal use of laughing gas or balloons ahead of Christmas. This follows an earlier story by TV3.
Nitrous oxide has a legitimate wide range of medical, industrial and commercial uses, but it has become the new drug craze among the youthful population and is common at nightclubs, pubs and recreational events. Also known as laughing gas, the drug is mostly discharged into balloons and inhaled by revelers. Health experts are concerned about its proliferation on the market.
Earlier in this year, I think it's TV3 and other stations talked about the fact that it has become very common at most nightclubs these days. Nitrous oxide is an anesthetic agent and it's a potentially dangerous drug because it causes unconsciousness at the right levels. It can also lead to respiratory depression as well as cardiovascular depression. What I mean by this is that this has effects on the brain and the centers that control your breathing and the way your heart works, and then also has effects on your blood vessels. So when you are using this drug, essentially what you are trying to do is that as the local parlance we say, in a low-key way, you are trying to anesthetize yourself. It's as though you are putting yourself to sleep for surgery, but without the ventilators and other things being on you.
So this one is the strawberry flavor. How about this one? This one is fast gas. Oh, okay. This one be the instant. Oh, okay.
TV3 earlier reported many young people become addicted through peer pressure and sheer curiosity. I visited this nightclub around 2 a.m. where the laughing gas had been stocked for patrons. Prolonged use can cause anemia and nerve damage or even compromise breathing and kill users in less than 10 minutes.
We are calling on the security agencies to step up their efforts to, one, monitor the airwaves for the advertisement of these items, FDA included, and then the media commission itself must play an active role. Then also, police should be moving to some of these areas to monitor for some of these canisters that are available, and then seize these items, arrest those who are selling this to people across the country.
With little or no regulation regarding its use and distribution, it is perhaps time for the relevant authorities to act. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Accra.
This segment is brought to you by MTN, Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Michael is here for the latest in the world of business news, and it's all about the energy sector, so known as SOGLI, ECG. What's ASEP saying about it?
Well, ASEP is basically saying that ECG should be able to clear its debts without government's help, basically.
Okay, all right, give us the details.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu, and straight into our top story as the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, Benjamin Boakye, has observed that the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, should be in the position to pay debts owed independently independent power producers. He noted that efficiency in ECG's operations should put the company in a position to be profitable. Sonon Asogli, an independent power producer, temporarily suspended its planned indefinite shutdown of its plant following an intervention from the government.
Sonon Asogli Power, a major power producer in the country, has suspended planned indefinite shutdown of its 560 megawatt plant. This decision was made in response to the government's intervention and assurance of settling parts of the outstanding debt owed to the company. The government has agreed to pay Sonon Asogli an interim sum of $60 million in 2 tranches within 2 weeks. Should the ECG be in a position to pay its debt owed to the independent power producers instead of adding to the legacy debt?
Ideal situation and what we've been praying for, except that it's taking way too long for us to get to that point where the energy sector is treated as business, and therefore we don't have to always engage in a conversation as to why are we owing and why are we not able to service our debts. But we are gradually getting accustomed to owing and not putting in place systems to be able to pay the power sector institutions and agencies. So that's where we are. And that is the reason why we're now seeing these threats emerge from the IPPs.
Suspension of the shutdown ensured continued power supply from the Sonon Asogli plant, mitigating potential electricity shortages. It remains to be seen whether or not the government fulfills its payment obligations in a timely manner. Eben Ajekumbuating, 3 Business, Accra.
Now, a tax consultant, Jeffrey Kabuteo Kanse, has raised concerns about the fairness of Ghana's proposed flat rate emission tax on vehicles, urging the government to reconsider the policy. The Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2023 proposes a uniform tax of 100 Ghana cedis per vehicle per annum on all internal combustion engine vehicles. This report has the rest of the story. According to the tax consultant, this approach fails to account for variations in vehicle emissions and could disproportionately impact lower-income individuals who typically own older, less fuel-efficient vehicles. The consultant advocates for a more equitable system that takes into consideration factors such as engine size, fuel type, and emission levels. This differentiated approach would ensure that those who generate higher emissions contribute more to the tax, promoting environmental responsibility while minimizing the financial burden on lower-income vehicle owners. He spoke during discussions at the CSO's post-budget review and media engagement.
If you are taking about 300 cedis for a 4x4 vehicle, you should be taking about 100 cedis for the smaller vehicle. And I think that will be a progressive way of looking at it. For commercial vehicles, I was looking at the divisions also, maybe, for example, looking at the numbers the vehicle picks. Let's say for a trotro vehicle of about 23 people or 20 people or 15 people, you could divide it among the passengers per rate and then look at charging that a lesser amount to comparing it to, let's say, for a few people in a small vehicle. So I thought it was good to look at charging these vehicles and removing the road tolls. But I am looking at the progressive nature of it. We should make it such that there should be classes and ranges.
The Ghanaian export market, particularly in the non-traditional sector, is set to experience significant growth with the launch of the virtual Ghana Trade Center e-commerce platform. Now, this innovative platform is designed to facilitate initial trade, provide market information, and establish connections with potential buyers to enhance Ghana's export figures. The CEO of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority noted that the platform aims to promote the Ghana Trade Center concept.
We are still in the process of making it work to its optimal level. We are doing everything we can, such as citing our trade houses in strategic markets. And we started with Kenya in May, and it's doing very well. But it will even do better if we can complement it with an online or e-commerce platform where people can also sell there. It doesn't always have to be brick and mortar. And so this is how you find us here this morning launching this particular program, which has been put together by the EU supporting GEPA to come up with an e-commerce platform to support what we have as the brick and mortar trade houses that we are looking to site in various markets around the world.
That'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next to sports.
Welcome back to News 360. Noella Donko is with us for entertainment news. And as we mentioned, the festive season is here. Lots of activities are out there.
Yeah.
One of them has to do with theatre.
Yeah.
And I think that George Quay, who is one of the very good stage actors and even on-screen actor, has been advocating for what exactly?
He wants the play to be done more, maybe during the weekdays, brought back into the system, because he believes that, the love is still there, so he wants to rekindle the love and do it more. To
get people to go
to get people to watch the plays more. Right, so we'll see how that goes. So let's get into the details of some entertainment here. As the CEO of Image Bureau and theatre producer, George Quay, has encouraged Guineans to patronize theatre, asserting that it is a cheaper form of entertainment that is safe and healthy for the family. Now, George Quay, who was recently appointed the artistic director in residence of the National Theatre, hinted of plans to stage plays on weekdays as part of efforts to grow interest in the art form.
Anytime my body touches yours, pew! Kofi, are you okay? Pew! Kofi, let's go and eat. Pew!
Appreciation for theatre in Ghana is still growing. The growing interest has partly been attributed to the hard work and commitment of Ghanaian theatre professionals. Playwrights like Uncle Ibo White, Lateef Abubakar, Kobinansa, and others have consistently written intriguing stories to entertain, educate, inform, and drive social change. Image Bureau and April Communication, through their collaborative efforts, have also been doing the most to grow interest in art form. The recent plays Run for Your Wife, A Detective Calls, and Olarotimi's The Gods Are Not to Blame drew thousands to the National Theatre. Theatre producer George Quay is excited at the growing interest in stage plays. He made a case for Ghanaians to patronize theatre.
Yes, generally there's a growing interest in theatre. I pray it continues to grow. You want to attend a music concert today, you won't pay anything less than 300 cedis because the artists are so expensive. Sometimes it's so annoying because the amount of work that goes into this, not a quarter goes into a music concert. We're grateful Ghanaians are beginning to realize that, and we'd like to encourage them and continue to tell them that, look, this is a cheaper, safer, alternative form of entertainment. It is educational, it is informative, it is inspirational, and it's safe and healthy for the whole family. It's an opportunity to go out with your wife and your children and everybody else. You may not be able to do the same with a musical concert. A musical concert would probably be starting at about this time, 11 p.m. Maybe they are now starting. You can't stay there much.
The celebrated producer hinted of plans to stage plays on weekdays as part of efforts to grow interest in the art form.
We will soon start considering weekday theatre expressions, and we would want people to patronize that too.
Now to some more stories. It will be recalled that some 8 months ago, news broke of a lawsuit filed against Canadian rapper Drake by Obrafo for sampling the remix of his song Oyohene. Now, after the story broke, concerns were raised as to whether everyone on the song was included in the lawsuit, and someone has finally spoken. Now, Hama, the producer of the song, addressed concerns raised by another musician, Manche Ayikwe, whose voice was used in the sampled remix. Now, he stated that everyone who was involved in the song's production stands to benefit if the court rules in favor of Obrafo. It is everybody on the song against Drake. Obrafo is only leading the conversation, so I don't know what the hula baloo was all about, he added.